I'm your host, Jason, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Julia. How are you today, Julia?
Hi, Jason. I'm doing great, thank you. And hello to all our listeners around the world. I'm really excited about today's episode because this topic is very close to many English learners' hearts.
Yes, absolutely. Today's episode is called Why You Are Not Fluent Yet. Now, if you're listening and thinking, that's me, don't worry. You are not alone.
Exactly. So many learners tell us, I study English every day, I watch videos, I know many words, but still I can't speak fluently.
And that can feel very frustrating. You might feel confused, disappointed, or even think, maybe English is not for me.
But let us tell you something very important right now. The problem is not you. Most of the time, it's the method, not your ability.
In today's episode, we're going to talk about the real reasons why you are not fluent yet. And these reasons are very common.
Yes, and the good news is, once you understand these reasons, you can start fixing them step by step.
We'll keep everything simple, easy to understand, and perfect for beginner and intermediate learners.
So relax, take a deep breath, and remember, fluency is a journey, not a race.
All right, let's get started and first talk about an important question. What does fluent really mean? Before we talk about why you're not fluent yet, let's first answer a very important question. What does fluent really mean?
That's a great question, Jason, because many learners think fluency means perfect grammar, no mistakes, and a native accent.
Yes, and that idea actually stops many people from speaking. But the truth is, fluency is not perfection.
Exactly. Fluency means you can express your ideas without stopping too much and without translating every word in your head.
You might make mistakes. You might forget a word. But you can still continue speaking, and that's fluency.
Think about this. Many native speakers make grammar mistakes too, but they speak fluently because they don't stop or panic.
So fluency is more about flow, not about being 100% correct.
Right. It's about feeling comfortable when you speak, even if your English is not perfect yet.
Another important point is this. You don't need to sound like an American or British speaker.
Yes, your accent is part of who you are. Clear English is more important than a perfect accent.
So if you can share your ideas, understand others, and keep the conversation going, congratulations, you are becoming fluent.
And once you understand this, learning English becomes less stressful and much more enjoyable.
Now that we understand what fluency really means, let's talk about the first big reason why many learners are not fluent yet.
Yes, let's talk about it. Oh yes, Jason. So many learners spend hours watching videos, reading books, or memorizing vocabulary, but when it comes to speaking, they freeze.
Exactly. It's like filling your brain with knowledge, but never exercising it. Imagine learning to play the piano. By only reading about music, you'll never actually play a song if you don't touch the keys.
Perfect example. And in English, speaking is like pressing the keys. Listening, reading, and writing are helpful, but speaking and thinking in English is what makes you fluent.
And many learners are afraid to speak because they fear mistakes or embarrassment.
Yes, and that fear is normal, but it stops you from practicing. Even 5 minutes of speaking every day is better than hours of just studying.
Here's a simple tip. Try talking to yourself in English about your day. Describe what you're doing, what you're thinking, or what you plan to do. It sounds funny at first, but it works.
Another tip is to use English in real life. For example, order food, talk to a friend, or write messages in English. The more you use it, the more natural it becomes.
So the key point here is simple. Studying alone is not enough. You must use English every day.
Yes, action is what builds fluency, not just studying. Remember, small daily practice beats occasional long study sessions.
All right. Now that we know why studying without using English doesn't work, let's move on to the second reason why many learners are still not fluent.
Yes, and this one is really common too.
All right, Julia, let's move on to reason number 2. Many learners are not fluent yet because they translate in their head.
Yes, this is such a common problem. People think in their native language and then try to translate word by word into English.
Exactly. And this slows you down a lot. It's like driving with the brakes on. You could go fast, but you're always stopping.
And translating can even make mistakes. Some words or phrases don't exist in English, or their meaning changes when translated directly.
Right. For example, in some languages you might say, I have hunger, instead of I'm hungry. If you translate word by word, it sounds strange in English.
So how can learners fix this? The first step is to start thinking in English, even small things. Talk to yourself in English in your mind. What am I doing now? What will I eat today?
Yes. And at first, it will feel slow or unnatural. That's normal. Your brain is learning a new way to think.
Another tip is to learn phrases, not just words. For example, instead of learning the word eat, learn the phrase I want to eat or I am eating now.
When you do this, your brain starts to think in English naturally. Eventually, speaking becomes smoother, faster, and more fluent.
So remember, translating in your head is normal at the beginning, but if you want fluency, you must train your brain to think in English.
Exactly. And that's the secret behind many fluent speakers. They think in English, not in their native language.
All right. Now that we understand the translation problem, let's talk about another reason that stops learners from speaking fluently.
Yes, and this one is really about fear. All right, Julia, let's talk about reason number 3. Something almost every learner struggles with. You are afraid of making mistakes.
Oh yes, Jason, this is huge. Many learners stop speaking because they worry. What if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me?
And that fear is completely normal. But here's the problem. Fluency only comes from practice, and practice always includes mistakes.
Exactly. Think about it, even native speakers make mistakes sometimes. But they keep speaking because they know mistakes don't stop communication.
Yes, and here's the mindset shift. Mistakes are actually your learning points. Every mistake teaches you something new.
And here's a tip for learners. Start small. Speak a few sentences every day, even if imperfect. Don't focus on being perfect. Focus on communicating your ideas.
Another helpful exercise is to record yourself speaking. Listen, Notice mistakes, but don't judge yourself too harshly. Every time you speak, you get better.
Also, remember this. Confidence grows with action. The more you speak, the less afraid you become, and soon mistakes don't feel scary anymore.
So the key takeaway here is simple. Fluency requires courage. Mistakes are part of the journey, not the end of it.
Absolutely. Once you accept mistakes as part of learning, speaking English becomes much easier and much more fun.
Great. Now that we understand how fear can stop us, let's move on to the next reason, something that surprises many learners.
Yes, it's about grammar, and why too much focus on it can actually slow you down.
All right, Julia, let's talk about reason number 4, something that surprises many learners. You focus too much on grammar.
Oh, yes, Jason. This is very common. Many learners spend hours trying to learn every grammar rule perfectly, but then they feel stuck when speaking.
Exactly. They think, if I don't know the rule, I can't speak. And that mindset actually slows fluency down.
The truth is grammar is important, but communication is more important. Fluency comes from speaking and understanding, not memorizing rules.
Think about children. They learn their language without knowing grammar rules. They make mistakes, but they can speak fluently over time.
Exactly. So learners should focus on using English naturally, not worrying about perfection.
Here's a practical tip. Learn grammar through examples, not rules. For instance, instead of memorizing I have eaten versus I ate, practice by saying sentences you would actually use in real life.
Another tip. Don't interrupt yourself when speaking to fix grammar. Keep going, even if it's not perfect. Fluency comes from flow, not grammar checks.
So the key takeaway here is, grammar helps, but it doesn't create fluency. Practice does.
Yes, and once learners understand this, they feel much freer to speak. Speaking becomes less stressful and more natural.
Perfect. Now that we understand how grammar obsession can stop fluency, let's move on to reason number 5, something that affects learners who don't practice consistently.
Yes, consistency is the real game changer.
All right, Julia, let's talk about reason number 5. Many learners are not fluent yet because they don't practice consistently.
Yes, Jason, this is a very common problem. Some learners study a lot one day and then skip days, weeks, or even months. Fluency doesn't work that way.
Exactly. Learning English is like building a muscle. If you exercise once in a while, you won't see results. But if you train every day, even a little, you will improve steadily.
And here's the good news. You don't need to practice for hours every day. Even 10 to 15 minutes daily of speaking, listening, or thinking in English makes a huge difference.
Right. The key is consistency, not intensity. It's better to speak for 10 minutes every day than 2 hours once a week.
Another tip is to create small daily habits. Speak to yourself in English when brushing your teeth. Describe your day in English. Listen to an English podcast on your way to work or school.
Yes, and remember, fluency is a long-term journey. Daily practice builds your confidence, vocabulary, and flow over time.
So the main takeaway here is simple. Consistency beats occasional hard work. Little practice every day is better than a lot of practice sometimes.
Perfect. Now that we understand the main reasons learners aren't fluent, let's talk about some practical steps to start becoming fluent, an easy action plan.
Yes, this part is really exciting because it shows what learners can do right now.
All right, Julia. Now that we've talked about the main reasons why many learners aren't fluent yet, let's focus on solutions, a simple action plan to start becoming fluent.
Yes, Jason. And the best part is these steps are easy to follow and don't require hours of study.
Step 1. Use English every day. Speak, write, or think in English for at least a few minutes daily. Even small efforts add up over time.
Step 2. Think in English, not translate. Start with simple sentences about your daily life. For example, I'm eating breakfast or I'm going to the market.
Step 3. Don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are your best teachers. Speak, make errors, correct them, and keep going.
Step 4. Learn phrases, not just words. Instead of memorizing single words, learn expressions you can actually use. For example, can you help me instead of just help?
Step 5. Be consistent. Practice a little every day instead of studying a lot occasionally. Remember, consistency builds habits, and habits build fluency.
And step 6. Enjoy the journey. Celebrate small victories like understanding a sentence or speaking without hesitation. Fluency is a process, not a race.
Exactly. Follow these simple steps, and over time, you'll notice your English becoming smoother, faster, and more natural.
Yes, the key is to start now, even with tiny actions, and be patient with yourself.
All right, Julia, that's a solid action plan. Now let's wrap up today's episode with a summary and some final encouragement. All right, Julia, we've covered a lot today. Let's quickly summarize the main reasons why many learners are not fluent yet.
Sure. First, many learners study English but don't use it. Second, they translate in their head, which slows them down. Third, they're afraid of making mistakes. Fourth, they focus too much on grammar. And fifth, they don't practice consistently.
Exactly. And the good news is all of these challenges can be fixed. It just takes the right mindset and daily action.
Yes! Remember our simple action plan. Use English every day. Think in English. Don't fear mistakes. Learn phrases, not just words. Be consistent and enjoy the journey.
Fluency is not about perfection. It's about expressing yourself, connecting with others, and building confidence over time.
So if you're feeling frustrated today, take a deep breath. You are learning, improving, and every small step counts. Be patient, stay consistent, and keep speaking.
Absolutely. And remember, every fluent speaker started exactly where you are now, making mistakes, practicing slowly, and believing they could improve.
Yes. So keep going, trust the process, and celebrate every small victory along the way.
That's all for today's episode of the English Learning Podcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget, your fluency journey starts one small step at a time.
See you next time and keep speaking English.